I'm Nicol Ann David. I'm from Penang, Malaysia, and I'm the youngest of three girls in the family. I'm the youngest, so I'm the the most hyperactive there. And my mom and dad, what my mom is was a teacher, English school teacher, and also my dad was a civil engineer, but a sports person himself before playing football for Malaysia and also encouraging us to play sports. So hence, I played a lot of squash growing up with my sisters, and then I became a professional squash player as a career. A day in a life as a squash player is pretty repetitive, but in a good way. I would train twice a day. So I'll wake up in the morning, have my breakfast, and then I'll be getting ready for my first training session, which will either be a squash session with my coach or another player, or even doing my own practice by myself, like solo practice. That could be one session. And then I'll have my lunch to break up the sessions to recover, and then I'll have an afternoon session, which is either a physical activity, whether it's in the gym or running on the track, doing some running on the squash court, just all based on physical like attributes. So that will be the two sessions in the day, and then in the evening I'll be too tired to do anything else, but I'll be in my house having dinner, chilling, and basically that repeats in the next day, and I'll do that 6 days a week, and a Sunday will be my ultimate day off. When I started playing squash, it was really just out of love, and I really enjoyed it playing with my sisters, and I started getting better as I was playing more tournaments, more I was training more, I was seeing myself getting stronger, fitter, faster, and I started beating my sister. So it was a little indication that I was doing well. And at that time, when I saw myself winning tournaments locally in Malaysia and also internationally, it gave me that sense of like more urgency or to see how far I can go with my squash. So the opportunity to play for the country was there, and I was given the support and funding from the National Sports Council to pursue the professional circuit. And at the same time, I was also representing Malaysia in multi-sports games. So there's the Commonwealth Games, you have the Asian Games, and these are all individual events and also team events. So in when you are representing your country and you have the support behind you with the team is there, the whole nation is there supporting you, even the national bodies there to really guide you along the way. You feel a sense of pride and knowing that you are representing something bigger, not just for yourself, but something that you can feel like you belong to, and it feels great to be out there competing for your country with the flag like on your back and everyone cheering you on, and that feeling you never forget, and you always want to strive for more, and you want to strive for better for the country and for yourself.
Who inspired you to really get into squash?
It will have to be my parents. I feel that when they let me start playing squash at 5 years old with my sisters, I was too young and I was actually too small to hold a squash racket to begin with, and it was far too big. So my dad got his friend to actually cut up an old wooden racket that he had in the cupboard to make a mini squash racket for me, and that's how I could start because he saw how I was so intrigued by the game and I really wanted to try it out, and that's how I fell in love with squash, playing with that wooden racket, my own mini squash racket of my own, and I could just go out there and just play with my sisters and all the squash community in the Penang state that helped me develop this passion even more. And I think the encouragement from my parents, even when I wanted to pursue being a professional squash player, was tough because it's not every day you have your daughter going after school. I finished high school STM and I went full time professionally playing professionally after that. and it's not easy for a parent to let their daughter or kid go. Just give it a shot. So with their blessings, I managed to move to Amsterdam at age of 18 years old to train with my coach who her name is Liz Irving, and I worked with her for 16 years, and she was the one that also gave me that encouragement to push further and to transition me from who I was as a young junior squash player to become a full all-round professional top squash athlete. In the beginning, the squash association was split into two. It was the Women's Squash Association and also the PSA, Professional Squash Association, which is the men's association. So it was actually two associations at the time I started as a professional athlete. And in that time, you have probably a little difference in the fact that when we had tournaments together, there's more attention to the men in some sense, and maybe some events sometimes the women will have only the recognition a little later, like they get a better chance to be showcased in the show court, or they have this glass court, and so those things we had to deal with. But in time, when it came to a point where I was world number one and I had to represent the women's tour in some ways, like you feel like you have a responsibility to take on board like what is fair and what is not. And so I had to stand my grounds in certain things, not falling into just taking just a little token of appreciation, but more so like recognizes as a whole tour, as a women's tour, to be with the men, and we have to have equal time on the squash court, on the same show court, because we deserve that same position. And that was recognized when I was there, and we slowly had more tournaments that was equal prize money at the time. And now finally we are one body, and it's called the PSA, Professional Squash Association, and now the men and women are under one body, and we see more bigger events that the women and the men are getting more like the same recognition, which is very nice to see. Personally, in Malaysia, to be honest, I've had the best support from the public, from the government, from everybody around me, because I think the what I've achieved as an athlete, a female athlete, is like one of the highest achievements that actually any athlete in Malaysia has achieved. And at the time, like being the first female like world champion to get all the accolades, and I think Malaysia is so gracious in the fact that they see that as it's not about whether you're a man or a woman. They actually treated me really well. They gave me the full support and their full backing, and I think that's what sports does. Like they unite us as one, and now all our female athletes are getting that recognition in the country, and more so you see more female athletes in Malaysia actually coming through in their own sports and own field. So that's very encouraging, and I think we should be proud that Malaysia really see that as a great support system that we have. So great. And outside of that, I think the biggest thing that I did once was making a point, like I shared before. Like there was a tournament that was held in New York City, and it was in Grand Central Station. It's only for the men, and at the time, the event coordinator has asked me numerous of times to just come and just play a exhibition event, like a showcase event, like for 2 days. But the real show was actually the men's complete total event with the full prize money and everything. So I kept saying, like, unless you have a women's event, I will participate. So at the end, after a few years of of saying no, I won't accept the invitation, he finally decided to come up with the right amount of money for a big women's event to collaborate with the men, and that's how I went there for the first time, and now it's one of the biggest events in the tour, and now it's always equal price money, and it's in the US. And at the same time, the US squash has made like a pact that all tournaments in the US should be equal price money. So I think that was, in a small way, I don't think many people knew what was done, but I never seen my field of work as like a that it was any there was any tough moments for me. I felt that I always had an equal grounds with the men. I always train with men all the time, and because it helped me with my performance. I worked with a men in my team. My coach is a female coach, but we knew we had to have a great support team, and we all worked together really well. And I didn't feel that was any superiority or whatever it is, that when I was competing, because I knew for a fact that if I did my job well, I'll be recognized, and if I worked hard, I will get the results, and the performance will show from what I've done. So I think that's the basis that I always followed. I don't see it as like the outlook from people. What are people gonna think about me? I just know that if I perform, if I do well, if I have my integrity, and I am respectful with everyone, I think you get the respect back in return. People are more curious than actually wanting you to settle down more like it. I think it's just more of a curiosity basis, but it never really came into my way, because if I have a goal, I always set my mind to it, and I always make out, and whoever asks me any question, I always make it very clear that these are my goals, and I'm set to go there and that far, and nothing. I don't need to have something to stop me from doing what I love or what I want to pursue. And I always had the support from my family and my friends to always see me through, and to get that support as well. The most fulfilling thing that I found from being a squash player or just an athlete, is just the world of knowledge that I learned from traveling around the world, and experiencing different cultures, meeting new people. I think that experience, one thing is like a great learning experience is that you don't actually learn from from books or something. Is you have to get out there and meet people, and I really enjoyed that experience of traveling. I love traveling, and I could actually travel and play squash at the same time. That's one part, but the other part is actually to learn so much of the real fundamental values from sport. I don't think I could be a good student if I didn't have sport in my life. It taught me how to be more focused, more disciplined, more like attentive to what I was doing, and it actually helped me with my time management as well. So I was actually a better student playing sport, and now I'm a better person by having these sports values and still in my life that will last for all my life, and it applies to everything. And then the commander, like the how camaraderie with your opponents, how you like that work, the yeah, just that feeling of knowing that you have that bond, and you can respect one another, fair play in your environment that you can apply in your life, in whatever you do next. So I'm very grateful that I have all these in learning experiences in my life to take on whatever I have in store to come. It really at the time when I was at world number one, and that whole period at 9 years at number one, and winning world titles, winning different competitions, I was feeling great, but it was very short lived. I had one tournament win, and then I will have to focus on the next thing, and then the next thing, and then 1 year later, 1 year down, the next year comes along. So it was like a vision, like a cycle that I was in it to just improve and to keep going and keep pushing myself. But I actually finally felt like I'm super proud of my achievement only after everything. After when I retired, I actually had time to reflect and look back and go like, wow, there was I did pretty good. So I finally came to terms with understanding it felt super amazing to be at the top, but only after I everything was done. So I now appreciate it so much more of what I've done and what I've achieved.
Talking about your retirement, you are up to something new these days. You've started your own foundation. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Well, the foundation is actually the Nicole David organization that will actually is in the process of the final part of the registration. So it's still just the initial part where we are building the foundation and the base. But now it's just going, once I get to the registration part, which is coming in later, like in the early part of this year when I'm back in Malaysia, then I can really like kick off the movement, and let it like keep moving. So I'm very excited, and this foundation is going to be empowering girls and boys through the values of sport, like how I shared with you, like with my experience, that the values in sport is so strong and so powerful that if we can introduce like using squash, this is what we're going to be doing, using squash, I can the children that are going to come into the foundation will actually learn how to also learn healthy habits, how to learn these values to instill in their own daily lives. And they also going to be boys and girls to learn how to respect one another. If we want to actually build a community that we want equality, we have to work together. So I think having a foundation that has both girls and boys to understand how to work with each other from a young age is truly essential. And I, for one, learned that from a young age to training with boys and knowing that is very important to have that respect for one another. So that's what's gonna be until I'll be focusing on currently. And but I also have done a lot of motivational talks this last year and into this year. So it's been great to share my experience, my story, and also to maybe inspire others to also dream big, or see like that they can do what they want to do if they put their mind to it, and give themselves a chance to go for it. So with my story, I hope I can inspire others to do what they love doing, and also just going, and I want to advocate further with on women and the youth to help them in their health, and teaching them to be more health conscious, be more aware, and that exercise and being active is always important. So and empowering them to be just who they are, powerful women doing what they love doing. So I want to continue to advocate for women, for the youth, and also to encourage more sport and activities and healthy living in their lives.
In your opinion, what is the way forward or the solution to making sports more inclusive for women? What do you think would make a difference and give that push from the level that we are to kind of increase inclusivity in sports?
I think it starts from changing the mindset of I think that girls are not fit to play sport, or girls can't be active. Like if you maybe come too butchy, or when you play sport and you get too muscly, and it may be unattractive. So I think we have to change the mindset of the fact that sport is for everyone. You don't have to have a certain body shape. You don't have to be super strong, or super fast to be an athlete, to play sport as a girl, because girls can do anything they want. They are super powerful in their own way, and it's finding the thing that actually makes them feel excited about being active is something that is not just playing sport, but being like active in your with your friends, or having find something that's fun to do together and dance or climb, or things that really interest or spark them in some ways. It doesn't have to be just one particular thing, but and there's so many other things like yoga. There's so many, but and also be fun stuff like motorsports, whatever. It's finding that one passion that they feel like they can connect with their friends, their girlfriends, or even for women to really branch out from their comfort zone, that maybe they can pick up something, and it's not never too late to be active and to look after yourself, because being healthy for yourself, then you can be healthy for your family, for your partner, for your kids. It's a whole network that you need to is looking after everybody at the end of the day. Well, one word of advice I would give to all the girls and boys out there is to always like I always like to say, stay true to yourself and don't let anything come in the way to tell you otherwise, because you are who you are. And if you love something that you want to do, and your gut tells you that this is the thing you want to do most, just go for it. Give yourself a chance and try it out, because if you don't try it, you don't know what lies ahead, and opportunities may arise. I did that. I gave myself a chance. I tried it out. I took that opportunity and I just went for it. So I hope that all of you can actually believe in that ability in yourself to just take it for you.